Life is made of phases. No one begins ready. Just like a caterpillar crawling on the ground never imagines that one day it will fly as a butterfly, we also go through processes of transformation. Each phase prepares us for the next. And this is exactly where the Bible surprises us. It is not just a book of ancient stories, but a living record of men and women who faced changes, crises, and challenges in order to live out God's purposes. One of these men was Abraham, or rather Abram. Before becoming the father of faith, he was just an ordinary man full of limitations, doubts, and mistakes, just like you and me. And perhaps this is what makes his story so fascinating, because his life shows us that no one is born ready, no one starts at the top. We all go through phases. The question is, are you willing to step into the next phase God is calling you to? Today we are going to walk through Abraham's life. We will revisit his story, but also discover how each stage reveals practical truths that we can apply to our daily lives. Because just like Abraham, we too are on a journey, and maybe this is exactly the moment when God is calling you to a phase change. The story begins in Ur of the Chaldeans, a prosperous city, but immersed in idolatry. There lived Abram, son of Terah. His father served other gods like most people at that time. But in Abram's heart, there was something different. A restlessness, a faith not yet well directed, but searching for something beyond. It was in this context that God made him a radical call. Leave your country, your people, and your father's household and go to the land I will show you. Genesis 12 verse 1. Think about it, leaving everything behind. Home, family, the security of everything familiar, and setting out on a journey without a map, without human guarantees, relying only on a promise. This was Abram's first great test of faith. Lesson: to step into new phases we must leave the past behind. How often do we carry with us memories, hurts, mistakes, and even past successes that no longer serve us? Carrying the weight of the past is like trying to run a marathon with a backpack full of stones. It doesn't work. Maybe, like Abram, God is asking you today, leave the land of idolatry. Leave the security of the familiar. Leave behind even what once made sense but now no longer fits. Because the past, whether good or bad, cannot be your future. Abram obeyed. He set out toward the unknown. He didn't know exactly where he was going, but he knew with whom he was walking. And that is the essence of faith. It's not about knowing all the details, but about trusting the one who guides each step. Abram's obedience to God's call did not mean an easy journey. Early on, he faced one of life's greatest trials, famine. Arriving in Canaan, the land of promise, he encountered scarcity. The promised land did not look promising. In the middle of hardship, Abram made a hasty decision to go down to Egypt for food. There, driven by fear, he asked Sarai, his wife, to lie about their relationship and say she was his sister. The man called to be the father of faith was now acting out of insecurity and lack of trust. Lesson: faith is not a straight line. Even those called by God can stumble. Even those with promises can feel fear. Practical reflection: how many times, even while believing, have you tried to fix things your own way? How many times have you doubted under pressure? Abram's life teaches us that walking by faith is a process. Just because you failed today doesn't mean God is done with you. Like Abram, you are still in transformation. Another striking feature in Abram's life is that he was never stagnant. His story is marked by movement. He left Ur. He passed through Haran. He went to Canaan. He went down to Egypt. He returned to Canaan. At each stage, something was left behind. Sometimes it was places, sometimes it was people. The first great loss was his father, Terah, who died in Haran. Later, already in Canaan, came the separation from Lot, his nephew. They had journeyed together, but there came a moment when their paths had to divide. Right after this separation, God broadened Abram's vision. The Lord said, "Lift up your eyes from where you are and look north and south, east and west. All the land that you see I will give to you and your offspring forever." Genesis 13 verses 14 to 15. It's as if God were saying, as long as you keep holding on to who is not meant to go with you, your vision will stay limited. But when you let go, I will open your eyes to greater things. Lesson: some people cannot go with you into the next phase of your life. Not because they are enemies, but because their purpose is not the same as yours. And here is the hard truth. Letting go of people or situations can be painful, but it is necessary to live what God has prepared. Maybe today God is telling you, release what no longer fits. Trust that when you let go, I will show you horizons you have not yet seen. One of the most remarkable chapters in Abram's life was God's promise that he would have a son. He had already received the word that he would be the father of a great nation. But the years went by, and nothing happened. Sarai, his wife, was waiting too. But waiting became pain. With every month without children, with every birthday, with every reproachful glance from society, frustration grew inside her. After 10 years of waiting, Sarai could take it no longer. She suggested that Abram have a child with her servant, Hagar. And Abram agreed. Ishmael was born. It looked like a solution, but it wasn't God's plan. Lesson: when we try to help God, we end up complicating the story. Often in desperation we look for shortcuts. We try to force doors that aren't open. We act in haste because we can't stand God's silence. But God's timing is not our timing. The promise does not depend on our anxiety but on His faithfulness. Practical reflection: maybe you are living this right now. Waiting for an answer, a change, a miracle. And the temptation is to create human solutions for what only God can do. Waiting hurts, but God's promise never fails. Then came the most symbolic moment of this man's life. God appeared and said, "No longer will you be called Abram. Your name will be Abraham, for I have made you a father of many nations." Genesis 17 verse 5. Sarai's name was also changed. From princess she became Sarah, mother of nations. This change of names was not merely symbolic. It marked a new phase. From exalted father, a small title centered on himself, he became father of many nations, a purpose that goes beyond himself and reaches generations. Lesson: new phases require a new identity. You cannot live the future God has for you while remaining the same person you were in the past. The faith that once wavered now had to mature. The man who once lied out of fear now became someone able to believe against hope. The couple who once tried to solve things their own way now had to learn to trust completely. Practical reflection: what God wants to do in your life goes beyond you. He wants to transform you not just to bless you, but so that you can be a channel of blessing to others. This is the essence of a phase change, leaving behind a life lived only for oneself and beginning to live for God's purpose. Then came the most challenging moment of Abraham's entire life. After years of waiting, the promise was finally fulfilled. Sarah gave birth to Isaac, the long-awaited son. And when everything seemed perfect, God asked for something unthinkable. "Take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and sacrifice him." Genesis 22 verse 2. The same God who had promised descendants was now asking for the son of promise as a sacrifice. This was the kind of test that reveals whether faith has truly matured. The Abram would have turned back. The Abram would have come up with excuses. But the Abraham, transformed, chose to trust. He climbed Mount Moriah with Isaac. He built the altar. He raised the knife. And at the decisive moment, God intervened. "Do not lay a hand on the boy. Now I know that you fear God." Genesis 22 verse 12. It was there that Abraham discovered a new name for God: Jehovah Jireh, the Lord will provide. Lesson: mature faith is surrendering even what we love most, trusting that God is able to provide. It's not about losing, it's about trusting. It's not about giving up. It's about believing that the God who promised is faithful to sustain. Practical reflection: what is the Isaac God is asking from you? What are you holding on to in fear but need to place on the altar of trust? When we learn to surrender, we discover that God never takes away to diminish, but to reveal how much he can provide. Abraham's life is a portrait of our own journey. He began as Abram, limited, insecure, full of flaws. And he ended as Abraham, father of many nations, an example of faith, a man who dared to trust God through every phase of life. So it is with us. No one starts ready. We all go through phases. Some painful, some challenging, but all with a purpose. Maybe today you feel like Abram, still in construction, still in doubt, still in struggles. But let me remind you, God already sees Abraham in you. He already sees who you can become, even when you only see your limitations. Final message. It don't stop in the phase where you are. It don't hold on to the past. It don't fear the process. Every phase of your life is preparing you to live something greater in God. And just like Abraham, you too are on a journey. Perhaps today is the moment to take the next step, the step of faith that opens the door to a new phase.